Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Moonshiners Racing presented by Depot Street Sports. I'm your host, Michael Rizzo. Joined with the normal crew, we have Bunny, Zachary Kendall, and Aiden Fortney. Guys, how we doing after this fine weekend at Darlington Raceway?
Um, it's been a roller coaster for me. Friday was my birthday, so started off the weekend great. Pretty good. And then Sunday night and Monday, aka Monday morning, I had to go to the hospital. That was not great, unfortunately, but I am okay now for the most part. So yeah, it was an up and down weekend for sure. Definitely experienced a lot. Let's just say that.
Another week, another weekend goes by of NASCAR racing. Another week where it seems like we're getting back to not the glory days per se, but the classic good old like growing up days, at least for me, late 2000s, early 2010s, And judging by, what Tyler Reddick is doing with the rest of the field, which is basically toying with them, and people saying that they're cheating or whatnot. We're definitely back in those times where it isn't NASCAR unless there is cheating allegations that are going on. So I'm doing great.
Yeah, doing pretty good. Got to watch a little bit of NASCAR this weekend. Got to watch a lot of basketball with the March Madness going on. Hey, and then the little side bet that we have going on here between the four of us, I'm really excited to see how this plays out. Maybe we can get there here in a few weeks.
Yeah, hopefully it goes out for all of us here. But yeah, no, it's been a good weekend of racing. It's a good weekend of sports. Tomorrow on Thursday is opening day for MLB. I'm here wearing my White Sox stuff. Hopefully we do better this year, but I doubt it. But yeah, no, great weekend of racing. I know some people will say otherwise, but yeah, Zachary, you alluded to it. It was a throwback, even though it wasn't the throwback weekend like we have grown accustomed to the last decade being at Darlington in the spring race. It still had that throwback, nostalgic feel. The new package, NASCAR alumni event going on. You saw a lot of old drivers there. Um, DW in the booth. He brought back boogity boogity booty. Let's go get racing. That was awesome. He still has it in him. He still has all his jokes and quirks about him out there in the booth with the guys. But yeah, great weekend of racing. Let's get into it. Tyler Reddick wins his fourth race of the year. He's the third driver ever in history to win the first for the first six races. Only two other drivers to do that was Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt. So he's in pretty good company when it comes to that stat there. But guys, thoughts on Tyler Reddick's drive from the opening lap where you had the issues with the alternator to the very end in that last run, winning by 5.5 seconds.
Very impressive. I mean, the 45 team has just been on top of it all season so far. Having speed really everywhere. I mean, the two races he didn't win, he was decent at Phoenix. Kind of did have a bad showing at Las Vegas, not gonna lie, but was still a top 10 car. Yeah, he's just having a career year as much as idiots say that there's something going on, and as much as I like to bully those idiots for how stupid they are. Uh, I mean, you can't deny like the speed he has. I mean, it's phenomenal. The seasons he is having right now is off the charts. Obviously, he had the 2311 had the lawsuit. There was personal issues with Tyler Reddick, and I think all those distractions are now gone away, and now we're really being able to see what Tyler Reddick can do, and he's picking up where he left off in 2024.
Yeah. Before I get to Tyler Reddick, I don't want to gloss over, the bigger deal this past weekend, where all the drivers before Darlington was hyping up the racing, saying it was going to be some of the best racing you probably ever seen at Darlington in the next gen car. I don't want to say it quite lived up to that, but it was still a very good race. It just probably was boring because there was no like barely any cautions at all, and he had like Keselowski leading a bunch of laps, and then obviously Reddick came up there at the end to snatch it away from the whole competition again. But what you saw in this race, if you were playing out now, Fox does not do a good job at showing the battles throughout the field. But there was a lot of battles that were happening throughout the field. And while it wasn't like, in like the leaders or maybe even the top 5, unless you had like brand new tires, because you saw Blaney come up through there. You had Hocevar come up through there. But, what mattered to me was that these cars are actually rigid and loose. And you don't really see that in the next gen car. You can't get these cars loose at all. They're all stuck to the ground. They all have very good mechanical grip, no matter if you're like a lap car or a leader. So the fact that they were even getting loose, like Tyler Reddick came off of that first turn, got really sideways, saved it, but then had voltage issues. You don't really see that type of stuff happen anymore, but unless you, of course, add this like higher horsepower package where the tires shred a little more, and you get a softer tire. Maybe we could even look at add a even softer tire, honestly, next time we come back, because those conditions are going to be different, because this one was late afternoon, early evening. That one, the next Darlington race obviously is going to be at night. But getting to Tyler Reddick, I mean, yeah, he's putting on one of the biggest bounce back seasons any driver could ever have. He went winless going last year, but everyone knows that anyone that's followed his career knows he's extremely talented. And because of that, it's not really shocking to see what he's doing. I mean, to some it probably is shocking, because this is the most wins that Reddick's had in his entire career in one season, and we're not even like 2 months into the season really. So that's kind of crazy that they're doing so well. But hey, I said it before previously, when you got the momentum, you got to stay with it. And boy, they are boiling with fish grease right now, because they are scorching hot.
Yeah, Zachary, I agree. I don't think it lived up to the hype, but I really enjoyed the race. Really like seeing Keselowski out front and what he done there with RFK. But this 2311 bunch, and it's not just Tyler Reddick, it's Bubba also. And I really think that what they've went through, they've finally started putting everything together. And one of my bigger things is are we going to start seeing a little bit of tension here? And I guess this question I'll throw to Rizzo, because he is a Bubba fan, is do we start seeing that I'm jealous kind of kick in here? But I'm happy to see 2311 start really performing, kind of really growing here. And Reddick, it's like you said to open the show, we've only seen this twice. And it's great performances. And I don't think that he's going to have to hit a really big string of bad luck for this to really start changing, because there's some tracks coming up. I think Martinsville, he's not that great at, but the way they're running with the momentum that they have is he's probably going to outperform what he's done in the past. I really truly believe that. I mean, even if he's a average finish of 20th, I don't have that in front of me right now, is, hey, he gets a top 15, 12th place finish. That's a win, because he's not drifting back. He's not, losing that much ground to somebody. And I think it's going to be a long way to hoe here before we see Tyler Reddick give up that first spot or the points lead. And they're rolling. And it's not just him, it's all of 2311. And I think that's a good thing for the sport.
Yeah, 2311 is rolling. Even Riley Herbst, yeah, he exists in that 35 car. He was running top 12. He was running 11th and 12th most of the day until Connor Zilich decided to drive through him off turn 4. But that's a whole different thing. But yeah, no, 2311 is on it. And Bunny, you brought up a good point. Like, do you think Bubba will get jealous of this? And I don't know if he probably is. I mean, of course, when you see your teammates doing as good as they are, of course they're jealous. I'm sure Alex Bowman, now he's hurt obviously with all his issues that he's having right now, but I'm sure when Kyle Larson and William Byron and Chase Elliott are winning and he's not, he's jealous. And I'm sure it's all over the place in these teams, but I think Bubba knows that 2311 has the speed. He could get wins. He's had the chance to win the 500 if that strategy went the right way, or if the 24 of William Byron did not hit the apron and then go right up in front of him on that last lap. There's no saying what could have happened there on that last lap. Bubba could have been in it. He could have won it. Obviously, at Atlanta, he blocked way too high. He lost the race and gave the win to his teammate. Now, there's not much to say about Riley Herbst. We haven't seen him consistently in the top half of the field besides this last week, but 2311 is on it. And we're going to talk about the best teams here coming up eventually in the show. But yeah, they're on it. Tyler Reddick is absolutely on it. 4 wins in the first 6 races. It's crazy to think that this era of NASCAR, when NASCAR is, they're striving and looking for, what's the word that when the next gen car came out, what was the word that they wanted? Parity.
They were looking for parity. Yeah.
Yeah, they were looking for parity. And so far this season's anything but. And that's why probably like Zachary and Aiden, you guys are talking about, there's people, hooting and hollering about, oh no, they're cheating, they're doing this, them damn cheating Toyotas. You know how it is. Like they're not gonna like it. The lawsuit, NASCAR gave them guaranteed wins. Yeah, sure thing. But we'll get back into that eventually. But let's move on to other
They
parts.
They gave 2311 guaranteed wins, but front row racing, not shit.
Yeah, right. That is giving Bob Jenkins. Where's his wins at? Anyway, let's move on to the rest of the race here. RFK was dominant. I'm glad I picked Brad Keselowski. I had a feeling RFK was going to be good here, but they were dominant in this. Well, I wouldn't say dominant because Tyler was dominant, but they were great, running 1, 2, 3 at one point of this race, and those Greg Biffle throwback schemes in honor of him. But it comes up short. Guys, thoughts on RFK's run, and you can bring up here the Buescher and Tyler Reddick incident that happened late in the race.
It was a really good run for RFK. I was impressed personally. You had Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski fighting for the lead and the possible win there for a second. Before events transpired for Chris Buescher and he decided to try to pit late. I'm pretty sure that's what they ended up ruling. Chris Buescher took the blame for that one. Meanwhile, while that was happening too, Ryan Preece was also in the top 10. He was also fighting up there. I don't remember. He ended up finishing 13th, but I remember Ryan Preece fighting for 7th, like 6 to 7 to 8th range. RFK had a really good day, and it kind of does make sense because I think RFK in the Brad Keselowski era, this has been one of their better tracks. Obviously, Brad has won here. Chris Buescher has had he hasn't won here, but he has had really strong finishes here. And overall, it's just a step in the right direction. We mentioned before the show, in our pre-race series, that we thought a lot of us picked Chris Buescher. I think all of us picked Chris Buescher to make the playoffs. Some of us were on the fence about Ryan Preece. I know me personally, I had Ryan Preece in. I don't know. I want to say there was probably like 1 or 2 guys that didn't have Ryan Preece in. I don't think any of us had Brad Keselowski in. I could be wrong, but none of us had Zach had Brad Keselowski in. None of us had Zach had Brad Keselowski in. But really, a good reason for that was because of the leg injury that he sustained. He's still walking around in a cane. He got out of the car and immediately was in a cane. It's funny to see, honestly. Not in that way. Don't take that the wrong way. But we really did not expect the speed out of RFK quite like this. I had the point standings pulled up just a second ago. Chris Buescher is sitting 7th. Brad Keselowski's 9th right now with Ryan Preece. He slipped back a little bit. He's in 12th right now. But that's really because of some guys that were in the back that aren't going to stay in the back, like Kyle Larson and William Byron has gained a lot of spots in recent races. So it's just one hell of a run for RFK.
Yeah, Darlington is, at least the last 3 years especially, has been one of RFK Racing's best tracks. But in my opinion, RFK Racing is a race team that If one car has the speed, usually two cars have the speed, and then the third car is not far behind. They're so totally balanced across the board that it wasn't really that shocking to see them all in the top 10. What was shocking is the fact that they were all running 1, 2, 3 at one point in that race on just like pure speed and execution. I did not expect to see that. That was kind of wild to see. Obviously, Priest fell back eventually. Still got a solid finish in 13th, but yeah, I guess I'll just talk about Brad Keselowski real quick because he was the guy that was obviously winning the stages and led the majority of these laps other than Tyler Reddick. Yeah, I mean, Keselowski's like obviously walking around in a cane, and maybe he's doing it because he's trying to like let the competition know that they take it easy on him because he's actually injured. But honestly, his performance so far this year has been anything but inspiring, and they've been running good obviously most weeks, but this week in particular was big for him because he won both stages, got a lot of points out of that. Obviously finished second, so big points day for that sixth bunch. And especially, obviously after he, obviously broke his leg, there was questions about whether or not he could obviously come out right out of the gates strong. He's definitely proven those guys that doubted him um, were wrong. And then the guys like me that put him in the playoffs were right, at least so far this year. Because, again, going off of what happened with Brad last year, he was terrible, awful the first 3 months of the year last year. And that's why he didn't end up making the playoffs back then. And that second half, he actually was turning it on. They were one of the better teams out there. Again, if he didn't blow the final corner at Phoenix, he could have won that race, and that would have added even more momentum coming into this season. So I trusted that momentum to carry over, injury or not. I trusted that he was a veteran driver, obviously, and that team was going to be able to be contending at least for these top tens, which is what you need to do, honestly, in this obviously points-based system that we are in now. Chris Buescher is also a good example of that. And he obviously was in the top 5, second really to Keselowski all day long when Reddick wasn't up there. Yeah, that was an unfortunate situation with him and Reddick, but I mean that 17 team took the blame for it all, as they should. They didn't signal that he was pitting, so if you don't signal to the competition that you're pitting, and again, they did it because they didn't want to hand out like their strategy to the competition and whatnot, and that's smart, and that's why they do that. But at the end of the day, you run your risk of not doing that, and that's what happened. He didn't signal that he was pitting, and the Reddick had no idea. He drives into turn 3, wide open basically, and then drills him in the back. The only thing that saves Buescher from spinning out was the wall. So I guess you can thank the wall for that, but obviously that damaged the car enough to where he fell all the way back to 9th place. But still, the results he had in the first 2 stages and the 9th place finish is still a very good points day and all around very successful day for RFK. And we'll see if they can keep it going because, I tend to think that RFK is a better team in the summer than they are earlier, especially Chris Buescher. He's better in the summer than he is early, but he's all around a very consistent driver, and they're showing that right now with all the speed that they do have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really liking what I'm seeing at RFK, especially Brad Keselowski. He's been in contention multiple times this year, and they just haven't finished it off. But they're putting themselves in a position to gain points. Keselowski had a good weekend as far as stages go. He won both of them and then fell short in the third. But they're going about it a little bit different than what they did last year. And outside of Blaney, they've had the best Fords out there. And it's really nice to see. We know that Keselowski's probably reaching the end of his career, and it's nice to see that veteran driver still running good. So it's Darlington, the tire package, everything that kind of rolls into one. This kind of fit Keselowski's wheelhouse because we've seen him before. He knows how to manage tires. He knows how to kind of manage a race, and he fell off for a few years. But I'm really thinking that now that he's honed in as the owner in the Cup Series, he's got his guys around him. They're taking these steps forward. It's finally starting to pay off for him. And I won't be shocked if all 3 of them don't make the playoffs. I feel like one of the 3 is going to be right there at the cut line at least. And they're probably all 3 going to be in that 12 through 16, gap. But as far as the race goes, I felt like they had a great performance, and probably Bubba had the issues there, but they were probably one of the most consistent teams this weekend.
Yeah, RFK had a great race going into this weekend. I knew they were going to be good. I mean, throwback weekend. Again, I keep saying it, even though it's not. Alumni, just the way the package was, how they've ran here in the past, they've been close to winning here. Keselowski won here just a few years ago. That's where he got his last win. He's on currently, I think, a 56 race winless streak. I just knew that they were going to be good, and I'm shocked that most people are surprised at it. And plus, they ran pretty well at Las Vegas. This is just a track that screams RFK, at least the next gen era RFK. And yeah, they're a good team. You guys talked about how the three of them are fighting to get in the playoffs. And I'll be honest, I am shocked at how good Brad Keselowski is doing with his leg injury. I really wanted to put him in my prediction as making the chase because I thought, he's finally going to have a year where he could put it all together. He's not going to have a penalty like he did his first year, with RFK in 2022. He's not going to do that again. Right? He's going to do all this. But then we hear about this injury, and I just felt real bad because I'm like, dang, another one of the guys that, the three of us watched growing up, that's going to just, slow but surely just start fading into irrelevancy, honestly. But it's honestly pretty good to see him doing well in the playoffs. I just want to see him win a couple more races and wave that American flag and when he's celebrating, doing burnouts. So that's always awesome to see. So, as a Tyler Reddick fan, it was awesome seeing him win, but I really wanted to see Brad get it done. But they're going to get it done this year. I think all three of them at this point will make the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see how they do at the short tracks. That's where I'm really excited to see how they are because Ryan Preece comes from a short track background. He's really good at this stuff. So I think this weekend is a good, he's a sneaky pick. But yeah, they're really good.
Rizzo's go for it. More polite. Rizzo's a more polite fan than me because when Blaney wins, I'm like, all of you guys are bums. Fuck you.
Listen, my guy was.
Rizzo's like, oh, I hope Brad Keselowski wins.
Listen, my guy, Bubba Wallace, should have been a top 3 car all day, and then his boss decided to just drive through Eric Jones for no reason, and it wrecked him. Okay, and I had to sit there. I watched for like 25 laps, like, oh, he should be fine, right? He barely hit the wall. I watched the HBO in-car camera and audio, and I'm like, oh, this is torture. Like they're not going to do anything. And I see him go green, and he's running like 5 seconds slower than the field. I'm like, this is wonderful. So at that point, at the end of the race, I was just kind of over it. So, and plus I like to see the guys I grew up watching do well. Like that's kind of why I at this point I wouldn't say I'm a Denny Hamlin fan, but when you watch the older drivers, you want to see them go out well, unless they're Jeff Gordon. Fuck that guy. But anyway, let's move on and talk about some drivers that missed it. There were some drivers that absolutely missed it. One in particular, Joey Logano, he missed it. I feel like JGR missed it a bit. Now, I know Ty Gibbs was up there and got another top 10 finish. Denny Hamlin was up there at a point, but Christopher Bell was pretty much irrelevant. There's other drivers as well. Guys, thoughts on the drivers that completely missed it and did not get anywhere close to what they expected?
Yeah, I'm going to harp on Joey Logano here. Mainly because you mentioned JGR. JGR as a whole missed it. Joey Logano and Paul Wolfe missed it. Ryan Blaney finished 3rd. Austin Cindric finished 5th or 6th. I don't remember. One of the two. So it's not a Penske issue. What happened? Normally I wouldn't care if, like we've seen plenty of times this year, Tyler Reddick hit it, Bubba Wallace hit it, Riley Herbst missed it. But Joey Logano is a Hall of Fame driver. Paul Wolfe is a Hall of Fame crew chief. Paul Wolfe has won 3 championships in 3 different types of cars, I mean by that, with 2 different drivers. Excuse me? How do you just go to Darlington and just fail? Not to mention, Darlington's a driver's track. If you have a good driver, you're going to do fine at Darlington, unless you just completely missed the setup, and that is what happened. I don't know if it was something with the car chief. I don't know if it was an adjustment. I don't know if Logano's washed. What happened? Like that was. It's shockingly bad. Like, it's shocking how far off they were. Honestly, incredible. Honestly, how bad they missed it.
Yeah, so since he talked on Logano, I don't think I have to, because I'll be saying the same stuff that he said. I'll just say it was a very terrible performance by that 22 and something I did not expect. But I want to talk about some guys that actually did have very, very good runs. Obviously, Tyler Reddick, 2311, before Bubba had the issues, obviously was up there too. Ryan Blaney, again, credit to him carrying the Ford, the blue flagship of NASCAR Cup Series basically is him, and Jonathan Hassler is not his pit crew. His pit crew is disastrous. His pit crew is terrible. His pit crew is like 33rd ranked, which is unbelievable considering the fact that, they are a Penske like team and they're supposed to be a championship team and they are 33rd ranked. I think that's a testament to Blaney being able to make passes no matter what track it is, no matter if it's Richmond, no matter if it's Darlington, no matter if it's Vegas. He gets stuck in the back, and Jonathan Hassler as well can make some good setup adjustments to make the car turn better than most cars out in there in the field. You saw this at Phoenix where he won. His car was turning better than anybody. He ended up having to go to the back twice, I think, for loose wheels. Same thing happened here. They had 2 loose wheels at Darlington as well. Didn't phase him one bit. He finished 3rd. So, hell of a run by Ryan Blaney. The other guy I want to mention, Carson Hocevar. Carson Hocevar obviously is a very aggressive driver. Obviously, he's always running 100%, 110% every single lap. But he didn't cause any accidents this weekend, and I think part of that is because, part of that is because what Hall of Famer Mark Martin said to him. Hall of Famer Mark Martin, before the race, began, gave Hocevar some advice. He said, run like me for like the first 375 laps, whatever it was. And then the last 25, you do you. And he kept the car in it, kept it clean. They had a great strategy there at the end. He had fresher tires than anybody in the field. He charged all the way from 14th to 4th in like the last 35 laps. Pretty incredible. And obviously it's something that team desperately needed because he was coming off of, I think, a couple bad finishes. And obviously you want to finish very good because, that pays most at the end of the day. If you're not getting stage points, you want to get a good finish. So credit to him. But as for the guys that missed it, I'm just going to target HMS. I mean, I don't know what the heck they were doing. I mean, Byron, sure, he was in the top 10. He was probably the best car out of all of them. But I swear he didn't get further than like 5th place. He was like mostly around 8th place. And Larson, he also was like, I guess he was up there in the top 5. I saw him at one point, he was like 4th or 3rd. But I don't know what happened. I don't know if they just like got the adjustments wrong on the track. They couldn't keep up with it or what. But he was falling back, and then eventually he just smacked the wall, broke his toe link, ended up finishing 32nd, multiple laps down. There is a curse with Kyle Larson in the spring at Darlington. If you didn't know, he's wrecked basically every time. This one wasn't really a wreck, but essentially it cost him a lot of points because he was. There's a big difference between finishing 11th and finishing 32nd. Chase Elliott, another bad strategy by Alan Gustafson, kept him out like I think around like stage 2 was like around that time frame. Ended up not working out. He gets stuck in traffic and obviously finished around 20th, and then the 48 is the 48. I don't need to say much more about them, but yeah, Hendrick Motorsports as a whole just missed it, coming off a week in which I thought they were finally looking like they were starting to turn things around a little bit. They were at Las Vegas. They all were in the top 10 all day long. Well, not all of them. The 48 wasn't, but the 9, the 5, and the 24, the guys you expect were all in the top 10 all day long. Elliott was closing there at the end on Hamlin, but this week, not so much. And I guess, it's not time to panic, but I'm just saying that, I mean, you gotta get things rolling here before too long.
Yeah, you guys had some good thoughts on the drivers that missed it and the drivers that actually did pretty good. Yeah, Zach, you brought up a good point with Carson Hocevar, Mark Martin, what he said. Like, if Carson Hocevar could drive like that, he's not going to have the enemies he has now. Like, like all the crazy moves he makes. But yeah, but a lot of drivers missed it, and I think the race and had the 4 seconds of fall off, and it's gonna be like Bristol, but not as bad. I think a lot of teams kind of overplayed it and may have changed some other teams' opinions on it. I don't know exactly, but it looked like the 22, they were expecting something completely different. And from the drop of the green flag, they fell all the way to 33rd and they just stayed there. But yeah, some guys really missed it, some didn't. And I'm glad my 2311 guys did not miss it. But anyway, let's move on to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Exact opposite of last week. Last week, Justin Allgaier at Las Vegas was the dominant car, and Tyler Reddick, and Kyle Larson ends up getting the win. This week, Kyle Larson was the dominant car the first two stages. He has an issue late, has a slow pit stop, and Justin Allgaier gets the win late. Guys, thoughts on the O'Reilly race?
All right. I had to watch the highlights back. I ended up watching this whole race, but I had to watch the highlights back to make sure I wasn't missing anything. There is one guy I do want to highlight before I get done talking. But, Allgaier, he was around, again, the top five. He was around fourth place pretty much all day long. The show looked like it was going to be Kyle Larson versus the field, and that's exactly what it was turning out to be. He won the first two stages pretty convincingly. No one was even close within him unless it was on a restart, obviously, which is obviously the beginning of the run where they all just stacked up again. And he just drove off from the whole field. Looked like he had the best car, obviously. But at the end of that stage 3, he ended up losing the lead off a pit stop. He ended up dropping all the way back to 5th. That obviously took his clean air away, and as soon as it took his clean air away, he was too buried back in traffic to really make up a difference. He was basically stuck around trying to battle for 4th place. And that left, Brandon Jones and Allgaier fired out for the win. And basically Allgaier, before 2022, hadn't won a race here at Darlington. Now he's won 4, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, he's obviously Xfinity lifer. He's making a career out of it, being in this series. And because of that, we're going to get to a question whether or not he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame or not. But, what he's doing right now, obviously, he is, just winning races and doing his job. And that's a good for him because, again, he's in great equipment with JRM Motorsports. But the guy I do want to highlight just real quick, Parker Retzloff is surprising me. He's a guy that you don't really talk about too much, but he has I looked at it, he has 3 top 5s on the year, or 3 top 10s on the year. I don't remember. It's either one, but he has more top 10s than Sam Mayer, and he's higher in points, which is kind of crazy. It's a guy you don't think of, but this guy is definitely surprising me, and he's definitely putting his name in the hat for potentially getting a top ride next year.
Yeah, it was a good drive by Allgaier. Obviously, the discussions on whether or not he should be a Hall of Fame driver are going to start popping up. It's an interesting topic, to say the least. I mean, this could open the door to other Xfinity guys possibly going into being a Hall of Famer. Like you got Elliott Sadler, Matt Crafton, or any other guys that I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but could possibly go into the Hall of Fame if it were to happen. My opinion is that we shouldn't compare NASCAR to stick and ball sports, but in football you have the NFL Hall of Fame, and college football has the College Football Hall of Fame. You get what I'm saying here? I feel like they should be two kind of separate things. I feel like it make confusion and anything else way better. Because obviously there are guys that were really good in the Cup Series that didn't do squat in the lower series. Jeff Gordon didn't really do anything. Tony Stewart sucked in the Busch Series. But obviously those guys are Cup guys, Hall of Famers. And you got, on the flip side of it, you got Xfinity guys that never really done anything in Cup, like Allgaier, unfortunately. And I mean, I don't mean to discredit Elliott Sadler when I say this. He did still have wins, but he's most known for flipping at Talladega way too much. But didn't really do a whole lot in Cup either. Matt Crafton, when did he have a Cup ride ever? Like, kind of deal. Like, it's a Pandora's box, in my opinion, dealing with all of that.
Yeah, we'll open the door to that question on if you think Justin Allgaier should be in the Hall of Fame. The only reason why we're bringing up this question is because Dale Jr. on his podcast, Dale Jr. Download, brought up how, you know, they brought up the Hall of Fame and certain drivers, and they thought that Justin Allgaier, on the pace that he is doing currently, he should make the Hall of Fame. He currently sits 7th all time on the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series wins list at 30 wins. The only drivers ahead of him are Kyle Busch at 102, Mark Martin at 49, Kevin Harvick at 47, Brad Keselowski at 39, Carl Edwards at 38, Jack Ingram at 31, and then Justin Allgaier sitting there at 7th with 30. Now, Aiden, you brought up Elliott Sadler, which I thought was be a pretty comparable driver, but Elliott Sadler doesn't have a championship. And Elliott Sadler only has 13 wins in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, so nowhere near him. If you look at it, like, I mean, there's some guys on this list that don't have many wins that have made the Hall of Fame. So I think that if he continues this pace, constantly winning in the hunt for the championship, I think if he gets a championship this year or next year, and I think this year it's between him and Jesse Love. I really do at this point. If he gets one more championship, I think I wouldn't say he's a lock, but I'd say he would get the nod at some point to be in the Hall of Fame. I get it. I don't like the whole Hall of Very Good, Hall of Fame. Like, you want the Hall of Fame to be the most prestigious drivers, but you know, it's not the NASCAR Cup Series Hall of Fame. It's the NASCAR Hall of Fame. So at some point you had to add in those smaller series guys who are like staples in those series, and not just only rely on the Cup guys, because it's a lot of those guys, you know, deserve to be in. Just like a couple years ago, Mike Stefanik got it. He's the all-time winner and Mr. Modified. He's the all-time modifieds winner. There's plenty of other guys in the Hall of Fame that didn't do NASCAR. They did some form of NASCAR and have plenty of wins. Now, I know they were debating on the podcast how there's guys that, you know, it should just be a Cup Series Hall of Fame and all this and that. But I know, and you brought up how it should be the O'Reilly Parts Hall of Fame, but it's just the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and you'd have to take a lot of people out to you know, change everything. But yeah, no, it was good overall. A solid race, kind of what you expected for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at Darlington. Moving on, guys. You guys know what time it is? Anybody? It's Heim time. It's Heim time. Corey Heim gets the win yet again in the Truck Series in a race that he was not supposed to race at. He said post race interview, he didn't find out until 2 weeks ago he was driving this truck, the 5 truck for Tricon Garage. Originally, actually, we found out that truck was supposed to be driven by Denny Hamlin, but Denny Hamlin said no because he was concerned the truck wouldn't be fast enough. Well, Denny, that truck was sure as hell fast enough when you put Corey Heim behind the wheel of a truck. And he got the win in a crazy overtime finish. Guys, thoughts on that finish? Getting tires on it. Tires that were 5 laps old compared to everyone else. He was shot out of a cannon, won from 9th place to get the win in 3 laps.
Incredible. I mean, it genuinely just shows his talent, like how good this guy is. We've said it so many times, like, this guy deserves to be in the Cup Series, like right now. Like right now, he should be in the Cup Series. He is just that good. Going from 9th to 1st at Darlington, for one. Did you see how big of a gap Ross Chastain had on him? You don't make up that gap at Darlington, but he made it happen. He beat Ross Chastain, I mean, I'm not saying Ross Chastain's a like perennial Cup driver, but Ross Chastain is still a very much competent and solid Cup Series driver. he beat him at one of Ross's better tracks too. Like I said, incredible. I think it's funny that Denny Hamlin was like, nah, it doesn't have enough speed. And then Heim just takes it to victory lane. It's like, yeah, the car sure felt like it had speed. It's like, yeah, just an amazing drive. I mean, I thought there was no way he was going to get Ross Chastain. I can't express that enough. Why is Riley Herbst driving the 35 car? Like, there's no excuse other than sponsorship. And that's dumb. And that's stupid. I could use another word, but I'm not going to. Yeah. He should be in 35. He should, or just any cup ride. Any ride whatsoever, he should be in it. He should be in the Cup Series somehow. And he's not. And he's just whooping the field in the lower series.
Yeah. I got two questions actually. One, I wonder how Caden Honeycutt is feeling, because I remember before that final restart, he was on the front row. He was like next to Ross Chastain. He's like, I'm not losing this race. And then he proceeds to watch the former 11 driver win the race. So I wonder how he's feeling about all that, because, you know, we know that's a good truck, and obviously it's the same equipment almost. Tricon Garage. He drives a Tricon Garage truck as well. So that's just kind of, that's my first thought. And my second thought and question is, you know, we know that Corey Heim isn't full-time, obviously, in this series. But with his part-time starts, is he gonna have enough points to potentially, he's not gonna be able to make those that chase in the truck series because he's not full-time. Can only full-time truck drivers make the chase? But could he actually score more points in the part-time starts that he's running in over some guys that are like in like 8th or 9th place? Because then again, 10 truck drivers make up the final field for the chase for the cup in that series. Honestly, he could, because the 2 truck starts I think he's finished like not second. He finished like 3rd. No, I think he finished like 5th. Finished like 5th, and then he finished 1st. And that's just crazy, and it shows like how good this guy is in a truck. I agree that he deserves to be, you know, up at the cup level. I'm kind of over discussing about the 35 because we all know the answer. The reason why Riley Herbst is in it. I mean, there's nothing else to say about that. But, you know, we know Legacy Motor Club is getting a 3rd charter. Could he potentially go in that? He could be a candidate for that. Or Ty Gibbs could get out of his own way and just accept that Corey Heim should be his teammate and potentially run better than him if he just gives him the seat in one of the JGR rides. You know, maybe when Hamlin, like, obviously gives it up when he retires or something like that. Toyota has to keep this guy in-house, because I tell you right now, if I'm Chevrolet or I'm Ford and there's a guy that's lagging behind, like at front row, or like a Noah Gragson maybe, or at Chevrolet, you got Austin Dillon on RCR, you got, you know, Michael McDowell potentially thinking about retirement maybe, because that guy's obviously up there too. Or heck, even maybe, you know, get him in the 48 car, because we don't know about that certainty of that seat. You know, that's how good this guy is. That's how much potential this guy has. And Toyota could potentially be fumbling the bag here because they're not giving him like any rides really at all in any of their series. He's just trying to find seat time that he doesn't have to sit out a year to hopefully get an opportunity. But, you know, again, a good win for him. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I watched that final restart, and I saw him make the 3-wide move, entering 1 on that, like 2 to go. Then I saw him go down the back straight and get like 3 more. Then I saw him come down the front stretch and get 2nd place. And then I thought, you know, he's about like 6/10 back, you know, even on fresher tires. I don't think Ross Chastain is going to slip up here. He didn't. It's just that fresh tires matter that much more, and Corey Heim had the balls to drive it so deep into turn 3 that it stuck and got him the win. So another win for Corey Heim in a series that, again, he's just making his own personal playground.
Yeah, Corey Heim, you know, when he goes up, he wins. And it sucks that he's not full-time. We all know kind of a broken record when it comes to this Corey Heim topic. Everyone knows he should be racing on Sundays, but he doesn't have the funding. There's no ride for him to race. Yeah, you heard that right. He has no funding, and he's that talented. If you're watching and you have a lot of money, Go ahead and sponsor Corey Hyman because I guarantee it, you'll be found in victory lane on Sundays anytime here soon. He's gonna be a really good driver whenever he makes it. It just sucks. He has to wait, play the waiting game to see if that seat opens up, and I'm pretty sure it will for Corey Heim. But anyway, let's move on and talk about the news around the garage. First up, let's take a look at the point standings after week 6 at Darlington. Your points leader, as always, is Tyler Reddick. Behind him now is Ryan Blaney. In third, Bubba Wallace. Fourth, Denny Hamlin. Fifth, Chase Elliott. Sixth, William Byron. Seventh, Chris Buescher. Eighth, Christopher Bell. Ninth, Brad Keselowski. 10th, Kyle Larson. 11th, Ty Gibbs. 12th, Ryan Preece. 13th, Carson Hocevar. 14th, Daniel Suarez. 15th, Shane Van Gisbergen. And the last driver in at the current standings, Joey Logano. Guys, thoughts on the point standings as they are currently?
One thing that catches my eye, we mentioned this last week too. The point systems are going to start forming to how exactly we expect them. Like the Hendrick guys are starting to climb in the points and actually be in the spots we think they should be. I look at the cutoff and like Michael McDowell, he is a Spire car. Spire has shown a lot of speed. Both his teammates are currently in the playoffs. AJ Allmendinger, he was kind of there last year in the same spot. He was in that 20 to 16th place range. Even last season, look at the points. He stood around there. The guy that surprises me the most is Zane Smith, currently 19th in points. Now, he hasn't done anything flashy, but for a front row car that hasn't seen a lot of, the team as a whole hasn't seen a lot of success, unfortunately, since Michael McDowell left. Todd Gilliland hasn't really broken out like we thought he would. Noah Gragson has low-key been a disaster. But Zane Smith has started to become the flagship driver for Front Row Motorsports. He's been playing the role that we thought Todd Gilliland was going to get. Now, did Zane Smith have an outstanding season last year? No. My memory of him was literally flipping at Kansas, and that's the only thing I remember of Front Row Motorsports. Also, 10 races into the season last year, Noah Gragson literally wrecked in all 10 races. That's a real stat. He actually did. But anyways, Zane Smith being 19 in points, that's really impressive to me. Also want to point out Chase Briscoe already up to 22nd in points. I mean, it's only a matter of time before this dude cracks the top 16 again. He just needs to have better luck.
Yeah, that's one of the guys I wanted to highlight first is Briscoe. Again, I've been mentioning all season long. I mentioned it last week. After he finally got a decent result, he just needed to put together smooth days. And I'm not saying that Darlington was a smooth day. He definitely had to battle hard throughout that entire race just to get the result he did. But, he didn't run into any terminal problems, and that was what was plaguing him the first 4 races of the year in particular when he was running up front and when he was seemed like he was going to have a good to great day, and then something happened, and then obviously he's in the back finishing 36th, 35th place. The last 2 weeks he hasn't been doing that, and it's shown in the point standings. He's going to be making his way up there before too long. Another guy that's just ahead of him that I mentioned that needed to finally put together some good finishes. I'm not really high on him, but he has been running better, honestly. I feel like week to week this year. That's Austin Cindric. He's in 22nd. He was up plus 4 spots. I said he was getting a lot of stage points. I don't think he got like too many stage points at Darlington, but what he did have, especially at the end there, was, again, very good top 10 speed. Capped it off with a 6th or 7th place finish. I don't know. It's like somewhere around there. But, again, those are the finishes you need. And, that was so big for him. He actually gained 9 spots. He's in 21st right now. He was, 30th place before this past weekend. So that was huge for him. Logano, I didn't mention him earlier, obviously, because, again, everyone else basically here did. But he dropped 5 positions in the points. And, you can't afford to be running that poorly, especially considering we know that you're obviously a very talented driver. You have a very talented crew chief. Your pit crew is even better than Ryan Blaney's, and Ryan Blaney is the best driver at Penske, and it's not even close. He has like the 5th best pit crew. And what does Logano have to show for that? He's 16th, like tied with the last spot with Michael McDowell. So there's a reason why people wanted, the points format to change to what it is now. I'm not saying that Logano is undeserving of not making the chase, but right now he's got to pick it up because there's too many times where he's just like out there running in 18th place. You don't really see him, and sure, that's good enough to hold your positioning like around 16th spot. But honestly, if you're Logano and you want to be pushing for more, and obviously his fans obviously want him to be pushing for more, he needs to be up there in the top 10, getting stage points, and also finishing really well. And he just hasn't been doing that. He's been too pedestrian, and then that needs to change. Again, he had all the RFK drivers up here. I picked all of them to make the chase. So far, so good. Again, Carson Hocevar, very big week. Needed it. He's in 13th right now, +2. Just keep it up and keep it clean. That's the most important thing about him. You don't want to make enemies because especially those enemies could take you out in races like really early and you don't have a shot to fight for those finishes. So what he did at Darlington was really incredible to see, especially since Darlington is obviously a very tough track. He still was very young, but he was able to obviously put together and muster up a good result and got himself situated right there in the thick of things. And then the final guy I just want to mention, just real quick, Bubba Wallace. He's not in any trouble, but he dropped one position from second, so now 2011 doesn't have the 1-2 stranglehold. He's also like only 2 points above his boss, Hamlin. But I expected that from Bubba, really. Like I felt like his range was always like the 8th to 10th range. But honestly, with what he's been doing, what 2011's been doing, he could snag a couple wins here in the regular season, which could boost his numbers up significantly. But again, he went out early. And it's because like that team made a mistake on their pit road that sent him back in the traffic. And when you're back in traffic like that, especially off a restart where everything's jumbled up, you could run into some danger, and that's exactly what happened. So I'd say clean up the execution there for that. Obviously, you've seen what the 45 team has been able to do. It is very hard to get multiple cars to run really well, but honestly, I do trust 2011 and what they're doing. I like what they're cooking. And Bubba, I know you dropped one spot, but he still was third in the points, and I think brighter days are ahead because I feel like there are some tracks, especially in like the summer months, that really fit this 23 team. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys said quite a bit about it, and I'm not going to tag on to what you all said, but I'm going to do a little bit on the flip side, and that is you've got Legacy Motor Club sitting there at 24th and 25th with Eric Jones and John Hunter Nemechek. There's only 3 Toyota teams out there, but you are the 8th and the 9th Toyota team in that list. So I don't know. How do you feel there about Toyota and what you're seeing with everybody? And then you got Legacy Motor Club sitting there mid-pack not doing anything. Like they're non-existent in that Toyota field. Jones, he can have some good runs, but he's going to plateau. But you all was talking about Briscoe there sitting at 22nd. And I'm not going to say that he's not going to get into the top 16. I had him in my top 16. But we kind of got to sit back and remember that this is his second year with Gibbs. And I'm wondering if he did not plateau and reach his ceiling last year. And that's probably the best that we're going to see out of Briscoe. I'm not saying that he won't make the playoffs, but it kind of makes me wonder if we jumped on that one year wonder kind of bandwagon a little bit too quick, and he isn't a true top 20 guy at best. So those are 2 of my things. And then AJ Allmendinger sitting there in 18th place with Colleague. I really like that they've kind of turned it around a little bit this year, and they're doing better. They're not doing great. They're in 18th. They're a couple spots below the cut line, and I think that we're going to see him float there, maybe drift back. But for Colleague and AJ Allmendinger, I think that's a big step forward for them, and it's kind of nice to see him doing a little bit better than what he has been.
Yeah, you guys touched on pretty much everything, but I want to touch on Spire here. At this point of the season, I thought maybe we would have Carson Hocevar in the top 16. I predicted him in it, but I did not predict that all 3 cars would be in the top 16. Carson Hocevar in 13th, Suarez in 14th. Technically, McDowell's tied for 16th. It's kind of shocking. Especially Daniel Suarez. We've seen him. He's now on his 5th team in 10 years, and everyone thought this is just going to be a seat filler for Kyle Busch, because Kyle Busch is going to move over, leave RCR, and get in that 7 for Spire. But at this point, if Daniel Suarez races his way into the almost at the playoffs, the chase, do they even think about moving him out? Because that 7 car has been cursed the last handful of years. I mean, every driver they put in it is usually a back marker. And Daniel Suarez, someone we didn't think would be able to do this, is doing this in the 7 car. Two things did not equal each other, and somehow they are. And it's kind of shocking to me. Maybe he'll fall off at some point here. But, I mean, he just ran 7th at Darlington, and he's also outrunning his old team in Trackhouse. And we're going to get to it here next, but there's a lot of rearranging in teams. I feel like a lot of teams are doing a lot better than we thought, and a lot of teams are doing a lot worse than we thought at this point of the year. One more thing I want to touch on here is just how quickly Brad Keselowski is moving up through the chase format here. He was out of it after Daytona, and then he's just slowly inching his way up and up into the playoffs. Gosh, I keep doing it. The chase. And currently 9th. I had him out with the injury, and he's proven me wrong. But anyway, let's move on and talk about a topic here that some people were talking about on some of the other podcasts here. But guys, give me your top 5 race teams currently. I want top 5 race teams in 2026. I don't want any prior information determining your outcome now. Like, if Hendrick is number 1, I have some questions, because that's crazy.
I mean, number 1 is going to have to be, for me, and I think for everyone else, definitely 2311. Normally, I like to gauge the teams on how good the entire team as a whole is doing. Tyler Reddick is so dominant. Riley Herbst running 30th every week doesn't matter to me. Like, if he wants to suck, let him suck. All right? Like, if he wants to be bad, let him be bad. Like, if Tyler Reddick's winning this many races, not only that, like, Bubba Wallace is 3rd in points right now. They were 1-2 at one point during the season. So, yeah, 2311's 1. Number 2, I'm giving it to Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin, 4th in points. He has a win. Christopher Bell, he's competitive in 8th, was competitive at Las Vegas, even though he kind of had a stinker at Darlington. Still has been driving good. He's still a championship threat. Ty Gibbs is having a career year right now. He has 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s. Having his best season so far, sitting 11th in points with guys like Kyle Larson just right in front of him. So Joe Gibbs Racing, and even you can harp on Joe Gibbs saying, well, Briscoe's not doing well. Briscoe has speed. He was leading at Coda. He was running well at Phoenix. He has speed. It's just been bad luck and mechanical issues. So that's why I'm going to give the edge to Joe Gibbs Racing. 3rd, I'm going. Oh, this is going to be a hot one. I'm giving it to RFK Racing. Like I said, I value what every team is doing. Everyone. And you look, RFK, they're all good. They're all consistent. Though Darlington was kind of the one race where they had race-winning speed, I guess I would say. I know good runs at Las Vegas, Randyson at Atlanta too. But really felt like all 3 teams definitely had a shot to win at not Las Vegas, at Darlington. Buscher sitting 7th in points, Brad Keselowski 9th, Ryan Preece 12th. Yeah, just really good consistency from RFK, a team that some people considered, or many consider, as the second Ford team. And for the first 14, we're not going to get there yet because the next team I got is Hendrick Motorsports. Now, we harp on Hendrick, we bully Hendrick. Can't deny they still got championship guys. They still got championship drivers. They're still going to be good. We mentioned how Chevy might be struggling with the new Ford. I mean, not the new Ford, the new Chevrolet body with the more rounded nose. Chase Elliott's still 5th in points. William Byron's still 6th in points. Kyle Larson's 10th right now. They're all in the top 10 right now. I know the race winning speed hasn't been there quite yet, other than probably Larson at Las Vegas. I'd say I thought he had something for Denny Hamlin there, but yeah, I'd give it to Hendrick as the 4th spot just because we know they're going to be good. We know 2 or 3 of their guys are going to be championship caliber drivers at the end of the year. We're going to worry about them. Obviously, the biggest harp on them is Alex Bowman with his weird situation. It's kind of like one of those things, you can't really fault the team for what has happened to Bowman. Just realize this makes my hands look really big. A peanut jig. You need to do a peanut jig of your own, a peanut jig. Anyways, I got Hendrick at 4. In 5th, I got Team Penske. Really should be Team Ryan Blaney at this point because that dude is dragging this team to relevance right now. Blaney, we've mentioned it a lot of times. He's probably he's 2nd in points. If anyone's got anything for Reddick, it is Blaney. He has such great long run speed. Jonathan Hassler and Ryan Blaney just click on, especially getting the car set up through the center of the turns. Had a great run at the end of Darlington, finished 3rd. He's fast everywhere else. You have to worry about him. The only issue is Joey Logano is out here running 20th, and Austin Cindric is running God knows where. Cindric did finish 5th at Darlington, but was really the best finish he's had all year so far. He's 21st in points. Joey Logano is a championship caliber driver, but is running 16th in points right now. It's really just because Ryan Blaney is trying to make this team relevant, and he's kind of doing it.
All right. No shock to start it off. It's 23-11. Yes. With Reddick making history again, having the comeback of all comeback seasons, winning all these races 3 straight, and the first time since who knows, the first driver ever to win 3 races actually to start the year, and then obviously win 4 of the first 6. Obviously joins elite company there. Bubba Wallace, again, I've always had my expectations on Bubba. I've never called him a bad driver. I've called him actually a very, very decent to improving driver, because that's what he has been doing in the next-gen car, at least. He's been improving his numbers every single year. But this has just been a very good start for him. It's something that he desperately needed, because typically you would expect him to be near that cut line, obviously. But right now he's 3rd in points, and credit to 2311 for at least making those cars competitive. The 35 is whatever. That's the group I got. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin, again, he's not had maybe elite winning speed, but obviously minus at Vegas where he won. But he's still a championship contender. He's still 4th in points. Ty Gibbs, again, he's actually not sinking the ship. He's not being that anchor. He actually is doing very good again. Since the JGR Chris Gabehart lawsuit trial began, he has an average finish of 5th place. I'm just saying. Maybe that's all he needed. Bell was kind of odd, obviously, because he was kind of like a no-show at Darlington, and I didn't expect that at all. I expected him and Adam Stevens to run better than what they did, but for most weeks he's been up there. And obviously Chase Briscoe, I trust him to get in the chase before too long, the top 16 before too long, because again, those guys do have speed. It's just that whether or not the luck is going to be on their side or not. So all in all, I feel like they are running fairly good. Obviously, just a step behind 2311 in terms of winning speed because Tyler Reddick is taking all that, but no shame in coming home in second, especially when they're both running for Toyota. And the third team, I'm going to say, I'm going to have a hot take here. I'm going to put Penske here. I have my expectations for certain drivers. I don't weigh like teams off the overall performance. Now, maybe I should, but honestly, I didn't expect Austin Cindric to obviously flash that much. I expected Joey Logano to run like around 10th in points, and then I expected Ryan Blaney to be a championship contender. I'm just giving Blaney all the credit. I'm not trying to glaze him too much because that's Aiden's job because he is a fan of him, but I mean, what he's doing is just incredible. And, because, again, I've mentioned it throughout this entire show. He has the 33rd ranked pit crew, and he's had like 4 loose wheels in like the last like 3 weeks. And, they at Phoenix, which is the track that he obviously won at, he had to battle twice from the back of the field. So that was incredible. And that's something you don't really see from anybody, really, besides that 12 team. They just had this. The last 3 years, they've just had this thing that's figured it out where, they just know how to turn better than anybody. They know how to keep the tires on the car longer than anyone. They can just make their car go extremely quick at the end of these runs. So I got Penske at 3. I got RFK at 4. Again, Aiden talked about it when he said it. They're just an overall, they're overall just a really like good team. They all run where you expect them to. They're all in the chase right now. Brad Keselowski's not letting the broken leg hinder him. Chris Buescher keeps on being the most consistent driver in the field. He never wrecks. He always, again, brings home his equipment. He's also like one of the underrated drivers in the field, obviously. And Ryan Preece is, I would say, doing the same things he did last year, which is, flying under the radar and just doing his job. So I got RFK at 4, and then the last group that's going to take it home is Hendrick Motorsports. And I'm the guy that's been like pressing the panic button, I feel like, a little more than all of you. It's just because, history for me, again, I made a comment. It was like a snide comment. I just said, close enough. Welcome back 2018 Hendrick Motorsports. It's not back to that level, obviously, because back then it was just Chase Elliott and then everyone else was just kind of running around mid-pack. They are still finishing the top 10 with Larson, Byron, and Elliott basically every week. At least one of them gets in it. If not, 2 of them get in it. And then obviously at Vegas, they had all 3. Elliott was charging late for the win. So there's that. But that race right there was the only example that I saw of them in the first like 6 weeks of the year so far where I thought they had a legit shot at winning. And every other race has just been you're just kind of there in the top 10. And maybe if something breaks your way, maybe on strategy, you can get some track position like that way, but they just haven't really flashed the potential that you would expect a Hendrick Motorsports team to do. And again, the 48's the 48, it's whatever. So just really like those 3 guys obviously are doing, the same natural things, which is again finishing the top 10. But I'm just waiting for them to finally have that winning speed because now that we've seen, obviously 2011 has all the winning speed right now, seeming like every single week. JGR had it with Hamlin at Vegas. RFK had a better shot at Darlington than they did, so I'm just kind of waiting for like them to flip a switch to go back to obviously at least 1 week to where they're like all maybe in the top 5, if not maybe Byron or Larson dominating a race. But those are my top 5.
Yeah, so just like you guys, for all the same reasons, it's 2311. Reddick's won 4 out of the first 6. Bubba's had speed. Herbst, he's had a run that was pretty decent, but outside of that, he's just there. And then second, I've got Gibbs. You have all of your guys in the top 11, and then you've got Briscoe that's climbing the standings. I mean, it's like I said earlier, do I think he had peaked a little bit early? Possibly. And then he's still there. He's still competing. We'll see him plateau at some point this season. Then for my number 3, I'm going with RFK here. I really like what they are doing. All 3 drivers are in the top 12 in the points standings. So for me, it's RFK at 3. Then I've got Hendrick. I've got Hendrick, all 3 drivers in the top 10, except for Bowman. We know that he's out with the illness, and we're going to see them turn it around. They're going to pick up a win here in the next week or two, I feel like. And for my number 5, I'm going with Spire. Spire's my number 5 team right now. I really like what they're doing. You got Hocevar there at 13th, Suarez 14th, and you've got McDowell at 17th in the points. And Hocevar's had speed. And if we was talking about a team, Blaney should be number 2 right now. The rest of Penske is not. So that's the reason why I'm kind of leaving Penske off the list. It's not because of what Blaney has done. It's more of what everybody else has not been doing. So that's my top 5.
No, I thought no one was going to have the exact same top 5 I did. And then Bunny said his top. I have the exact same one. 2311 at number 1, JGR at number 2, RFK at number 3 because they're more consistent. Hendrick at 4, but I think 3 and 4, they're kind of neck and neck. They're kind of running the same. And if I had to put Blaney anywhere, I mean, he'd be right there. But Spire as a complete team would have to be my 5th one because they are consistently at least there. Okay, like all 3 of them are running around the same areas. If they are running as if they're a top 15 team that weekend, they're all in the top 15. If they're a top 10 team, they're all within the top 10 or at least close to the top 10. And every now and then one of them will not have that great of a weekend, but like they weren't really good at Las Vegas, but everywhere else they've been contending for wins. They really have. Daytona, Atlanta contended for the win. If they didn't have the issues that they had at COTA, they were also contending for the win there. And Darlington, Hocevar was flying through the field. If that race was another 5 laps longer, he might have a top 3 finish. But yeah, and then as for Penske, I don't know what's going on. I feel bad for you. I feel bad for you, Aiden. I mean, not only does Ryan Blaney, like he is legit probably the 2nd best driver this year. If you look at it, he's the 2nd best driver this year. He should be a championship favorite, but his team just constantly puts him in the back. It's constantly just you take 1 step forward and 3 steps back. That's what it is with Ryan Blaney. He and John and crew chief Hassler there, they will themselves to good runs and wins. Everyone else on his team, it's like they don't help. They're non-existent. They don't do anything but hurt him in these races. What is it, like 4 loose wheels in the last 2 races? That is ridiculous. And then every other part of Penske, Joey Logano. We all thought that he'd kind of, go back a little bit in this new point standings, but not this bad. 16th after 6 races. I didn't think he'd be this bad. As for, Austin Cindric, he's a good dude and all, but, he kind of, in a way, you kind of expected that. And I could see why Zachary put them where they are because you kind of expect it out of these guys. But at the same time, it's Team Penske. This is one of the, quote, big 3 teams in the Cup Series of JGR, Hendrick, and Penske, and they're not racing anything like it. But anyway, like your guys' picks here for that little segment that we decided to do. I'll bring it back in a couple months and see what changes from there. But let's move on to one of our favorite segments of the week, that being the award ceremony. I'll start off first with Top Shelf. Give me Corey Heim. Heim time. Wasn't even supposed to be in that ride, the 5 Toyota Tundra for Tricon Garage. Gets into it after the restart with an overtime, starts nice, gets the win in crazy, unbelievable fashion. He should be racing on Sundays. Give me Corey Heim.
There's an obvious pick, but I'm not going to go with the obvious pick. I'm going with Carson Hocevar, honestly. Had a really great run, finished 4th, was lightning quick on that final run. Like Rizzo said earlier, Hocevar probably would have had a top 3 finish if that race ran like 5 more laps. He was fast. And again, like, it's exactly what he needs. We need drivers. He needs to be quick. He needs to have good finishes here. He's going to be one of those guys that's going to be on the edge of the 16th place drivers, right on that cut line. And he ran a great race with a great paint scheme, might I add, too. And yeah, just an overall phenomenal weekend for Carson Hocevar. Out of Tyler Reddick's probably walking away happy. Carson Hocevar might be the second happiest driver after Darlington.
Yeah, you said there's an obvious pick. I'm also not going to go with the obvious pick. I'm going to leave that for Michael here. But I'm going to go with RFK Racing because obviously outside of Tyler Reddick, winning the race, you just got to be happy with whatever RFK brought to the track, especially in that building and that shop. And just what they're doing during this season so far. I mean, everyone could have doubted some of their cars not be able to have like the lightning fast pace you might need to contend for these stage wins and these stage points and maybe even get finishes that are equivalent enough to make you feel comfortable that you're in the playoffs or in the chase right now. But they're doing just that. They're firing on all cylinders, no matter where it's at, no matter if it was like at Atlanta in a Super Speedway, no matter if it's at Darlington. They play in their wheelhouse very well. And Brad Keselowski in particular obviously had a very tremendous weekend. Chris Buescher was right there, obviously had damage late, but still came home in 9th. And Ryan Preece coming home in 13th. There's no shame in that, considering that you could have seen what happened to other guys that had problems as well. You could have had a problem, and that would have knocked you maybe out of the top 16 like that. But none of that happened. They all finished decently well, and they're all right there in the top 12 and the points currently. So I got to give it to RFK.
And yes, the obvious winner is Tyler Reddick. But I'm going to give my award to a guy that runs part-time in Truck Series, very limited schedule. I'm going to give it to Timmy Hill for coming home with top 15 place finish. And, he put on the tires late, was able to drive up through there, solid finish for him and his team. So give me Timmy Hill.
Alrighty, guys, some good picks, really good picks. Let's move on to the hangover of the week. I'll go first. I'm going to change mine to the idiots of the week. Here we go. We got Jeremy Reed. He said, this has to be the first one in history to win all Crown Jewels races in one season per settlement agreements. Idiot. Alan Blackburn, as many as NASCAR promised Jordan. Idiot. Yes, I went through the comment section of the NASCAR Facebook post, and I found every idiot that said that 2311 is cheating. Donald Jr. here. Funny how he has 10-second deficit, chases them down, think it's a 5-second lead with no fall off. Idiot. He pitted 5 laps later. Jared Turner was the championship in the court agreement as well. Idiot. Here we go. Not bad with extra help, horsepower, and unapproved adjustments. Idiot. I got more, guys. Don't worry. Every team has access to every other team's SMT data. This includes engine speed, throttle position, gear, amongst dozens of other data points, so on and so forth. He claims that NASCAR said teams do not get to see 2311's SMT data. Yep, because they would agree to that. Nice one, bud. We will be seeing them win the championship now. That was promised in the settlement. Must have been some closed doors between NASCAR and MJ. Expect Bubba Wallace to have a winning streak as well at some point this season. 2311 Racing finishes season winning championship, and most team wins as Tyler wins the most. These guys are idiots. They're all giving my hangover the war.
Don't forget my favorite comment that I sent to the group chat. Tyler Reddick switched his battery. Battery equals more horsepower. How are people not seeing this?
Man, there's some absolute idiots.
That's my roommate laughing.
There's some absolute.
My roommate
idiots.
knows nothing about cars, and he knows how stupid that is.
Yep. Yep. Those are my hangovers. You guys go ahead, take the floor.
All right. Since I'm already unmuted, I will start. I have a poem for this one. I have a poem. To Ryan Blaney's pit crew, I hope you order Dr. Pepper and they give your ass Coke. I hope you eat 2 Popeyes biscuits and you choke. I hope you're trying to wrap a present and you can't find the tape. I hope you go get the new J's and they turn out to be fake. I hope you decide to take a run and get bit by a snake. I hope your Nana cooks spaghetti and they run out of plates. I hope your motor blow out. I hope you catch a blowout. I hope your uncle loses his wallet every time he goes out. I hope you break your neck. Bitch, I hope you break your spinal cord. I hope you cut your hand on some glass. I hope a homeless person beats you up and spit on your ass. Yeah, there's more to it, but it takes like 3 minutes long. To Blaney's pit crew, why are you fucking dog shit? Why are you this bad? Why are you being the pit crew of a championship caliber driver that's sitting second in points? And brother, you guys are ranked 33rd among crew chiefs. The Haas factory team has statistically a better pit crew than the 12 cars pit crew. He has had 4 loose wheels in 3 races. Just switch the pit crews. Honestly, give Logano's pit crew to Blaney's. All right. This has been an issue for Blaney's entire fucking career, and it's still an issue. Why? Why is it still an issue? You have a top 5 driver in NASCAR. You have probably a top 5 crew chief in NASCAR, and your pit crew is just constantly blowing races. Why?
I hope you guys could follow that up. We really tried this week in this segment.
Yeah, this segment's taking the cake. I think Rizzo might have like the best hangover of the year so far, obviously, because he came with the receipts, and obviously, Aiden's gonna have a grudge because it's the 12 team. So I'm not gonna be anything like that, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna pick a guy that we have been talking about during this show a lot, a decent amount at least. It's Joey Logano. I mean, if you switch the pit crews and gave him Blaney's crew, he might have finished dead last just off pure speed. He might have been worse than Cody Ware, considering that those guys can't obviously make a pit stop to save their life. And then you saw what Logano was doing at Darlington, which is, again, he qualified poorly. He qualified like around like 25th or 26th, something like that. Fell quickly back to 33rd. And, I'm not saying this, but, people thought that if we changed the format to what it was previously, obviously, which is where you win the right amount of races, then obviously you're going to be in contention for the championship. People said when we changed that, Logano was going to be washed. I hate to say it to Joey Logano fans, but he's not beating the washed allegations, because that was a piss poor performance, especially at a track where he has won previously in this car. So, I mean, Logano, Paul Wolf, got to get things rolling, because, you can't afford to be right around that cut line. He's tied with Michael McDowell, which, no offense to Michael McDowell, but, there's a difference between that 71 and that 22. And with performances like that, we might see Joey Logano out of the top 16 before too long, which is going to be terrible for some, but maybe for some others that are enjoying the hate watch that they saw this past Sunday.
Yeah, mine ain't going to be like Rizzo and Aiden's for sure. I'm glad to see a little bit of fire out of Rizzo this week with the hangover of the week. I'm going with the driver from Cherokee Speedway this weekend. I'd sent it to Rizzo, and coming out of 4, leading the race, car catches on fire, gets passed in a photo finish, and finishes second, going up in a big ball of flames. I mean, it was the most ridiculous, not ridiculous, but it was just crazy to see that happen. Hope everybody is safe in that. But I'm anxious to find out what happened. That's my thing. How did that happen? But hope everybody's okay. You're leading with a good lead coming into fourth or turn 4, coming out, car catches on fire, get past the start finish line. That's my hangover of the week.
Yeah, that's a good one. when I heard them talk about that on DBC, I was like, I can't wait to see that video. Completely forgot about it. I see your text message, and I was like, oh my god, literally off of turn 4, about to take the checkered, and the thing just blows up. It is like it's a fireball. The whole thing
That
is
was the
intense.
wildest thing I'd ever
Absolutely
seen.
wild. Feel bad for the guy too. Like he endured that, about to get the win, and then he gets passed. That just yeah, that's definitely a hangover. But yeah, we did pretty good on this segment this week, guys. Very good job. Let's move over to the picks and expectations. But first, want to give us our results from last week.
And as always, I finished 4th with Christopher Bell. He did finish 19th. And in 3rd place, you have Zachary with Hamlin. 2nd, you have Aiden with Eric Jones and Rizzo. You won the week with Brad Kozlowski. Rizzo, you got 3 wins. Aiden 2. I've got 1. Zachary's still at 0. Go. All right. So I'm going to take Blaney. I hope it pays off. I need a win.
Yeah, I knew that I wasn't doing the best. I don't think I finished last at all in any of these, but I just haven't really gotten the right results, to go my way to get over the top. And I knew that he was going to take Blaney, so I knew Blaney was going to be out of the cards. So I'm going to go with another guy that Rizzo, you mentioned him earlier. You said he was going to be a sleeper, and I really don't pick him anywhere besides these tracks. So give me Ryan Preece.
Oh yeah, my turn. A lot of interesting picks. Y'all will go with Blaney. You also went with Ryan Preece. Normally, I like to gauge like how good of a driver I want to get. Like sit back and then gauge how hard I should go exactly. I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna go with Chase Briscoe this week, actually.
Yeah, I had the same plan, Aid. I did. Like I'm like, all right, if they're gonna just put on some layups, I'll just take a big swing at it. But Blaney, Briscoe, those are 2 pretty big swings. So I'll sit back and watch this week. And hey, hopefully this guy has a solid run. He tends to have solid runs here. This is a shocking pick. I don't think anyone is going to see this one coming. Give me Todd Gillen. Todd Gillen. He has an average finish of 15th here. That's 13th in the technically that is actually 10th of current drivers here at Martinsville. He's got in the last since 2023, he's got 3 top 10 finishes. So hey, I'll gladly take that. Give me Todd Gillen.
Blaney will blow a motor on the 2nd lap, and that'll be my day.
Yeah, you're either gonna win or you're gonna finish last. So
that will also cause me to lose on that day. We will both lose that day.
I was going to say,
I would probably lose my life on that day.
Well,
you can't blame the pit crew. You just can't.
I will blame that team till the day I die, until I'm 6 feet in the dirt, or until they're 6 feet in the dirt, because I will piss on their grave.
Yeah, he's man. I'd expect this out of a Chase Elliott fan, but man, not a Ryan Blaney fan. Anyway, guys, let's get into our predictions for this race. I honestly have no idea what to expect. They kind of are changing up the horsepower number for the short track, so I don't know what to expect. That's why I kind of went with a driver that I thought, hey, if he has a good day, sure. I really do think Hendrick will finally show up at this track. They are really good here. They pretty much own this racetrack, but I wouldn't be shocked if JGR comes to spoil in their parade and get a win here. Denny Hamlin's great here. Christopher Bell has had some good runs here in the past. Bubba Wallace is pretty solid here when 2311 does not have brake issues. But yes, Tyler Reddick did say in his post race interview that yeah, if he were to win here at Martinsville, the world would end. So hopefully that doesn't happen. The world ending I'm talking about. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts and expectations for Martinsville?
Um, I'm I'm kind of hesitant. I don't know how to gauge this Martinsville race. We've had some bangers. We've had some really good Martinsville races, but we've also had some snoozer Martinsville races, especially with this next gen car. It's interesting to see what we can get. In my opinion, if we get a good Martinsville race can trump most races the entire series. If we get a Martinsville has the ability to be a top 5 race of the season if it can do that. So I'm going to go in the middle. I'm just expecting a race. I don't know if it's going to be bad. I don't know if it's going to be good. I'm just expecting a race. Now watch it somehow get rained out till like Thursday, and like my expectations aren't even met there.
That only happened at one time, and that was at Satan's racetrack, Texas Motor Speedway. For me, you know, there's a saying that goes, you can start out being a hero, but live long enough to be a villain. I think that's something that's happened at Martinsville because growing up, I used to love this racetrack. Never been, but loved watching this racetrack, watching the racing product, like watching, you know, I wasn't watching guys like, well, I saw Jimmy Johnson win this race here, and I've watched Jeff Gordon win this race here as well. But those guys usually were dominant in the 2000s. I wasn't watching when they were doing that, so I saw a lot more winners, and I saw my guy Dale Jr. pull off the win in 2014. That was awesome to watch. But you just don't see those type of races at Martinsville in this next gen car. And the only racing that's really adequate, that's capable of putting on a good show here, is if Goodyear can bring a tire that can wear enough. Like I remember Blaney for one of his wins, you had a tire that could wear, and you saw that throughout the field. And it produced passing, and that's something that you obviously need at this track because I really hate. It's a big stickler of mine, and it's a big stickler of so many as well. Is that drivers can just shift off the fourth turn or whatever turn they're on, and they can get bumped, but then they can shift downwards to save their car and just keep it going, keep the momentum going. They don't lose spots. So for me, I'm not going to say it's going to be a bad race, but I'm going to be like Aiden here. I'm just going to expect to be right in the middle. I'm obviously going to watch it, obviously, but my expectations aren't the highest until we actually see what happens. Because who knows? Because maybe this is brand new with a 750 with the next gen, so maybe we see something unique. We're not going to see any Chastain wall rides, obviously, because that's obviously banned here at this track or any track. But for me, I'm just hoping that Goodyear can bring a good tire to this track, and hopefully, we see a good battle between the top contenders, whoever that may be.
Yeah, I really don't know what to expect either. And I say that on the terms of we went to Phoenix. It was probably one of the best Phoenix races that we have seen since Phoenix exists. And then this past weekend at Darlington, it was actually a very solid race. So that with that Goodyear package that they are starting to bring, it's showing some of these tracks that, like Aiden said, could be a snooze fest. They are better races. So I'm hopeful that that's the trend that we're going in, and Martinsville will be one of those better races. But who knows? It could just be a shit show, and who knows? I don't know what to expect, but I'm hoping better than worst. And I really hope the Blaney fans don't have to break out the toaster because I picked him this weekend. I am going to say that. We need to keep the toasters on the shelf. So.
Yeah, you guys had some good predictions there. It's going to be an interesting race. It's the first short track race of the season. We're looking forward to it. Like you guys all have said, it's either going to be a snoozer or a solid race. Like this next gen car really has put a damper on the expectations of these short track races. Like in the Gen 6 era, as terrible as those cars were at times, they put on some absolute bangers at the short track racing. I mean, it was just another good race after another good race, and it was just must see TV. And now it's just kind of like, oh, they're just lull on, and it's just kind of a snoozer. But I'm really hoping that's not the case. I hope maybe this additional horsepower helps out in terms of the shifting in the middle of the turn, in the middle of the straightaways. You don't need to be shifting at Martinsville or a short track, in my opinion. But we'll see. But anyway, new favorite segment, guys. Is there any questions we have from the listeners?
Yes, we have a really good one. So, Big Daddy Riz, what track are you most looking forward to this season?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. Man, I'm gonna go with Chicagoland just because I've been waiting to watch that track again. I'm really hoping I get to go and watch that one. I know we keep joking around that we're gonna go since we're close, but I really think it's gonna be a good race. I think for like the last 2 years we've been chatting about Chicagoland, and the last year that's all we kept talking about, even before they even announced it possibly being back. But for me, it's Chicagoland. And then after that, oh man, I mean, I'm looking forward to watching Atlanta again. That's always a good race. But and the 600, Charlotte, 600, definitely definitely a good one too.
Do we all answer? Or yeah, the race I'm most excited for, definitely Chicagoland, because I freaking love that track, and I am so happy that it is back on the schedule. Also, might be going, might not. We'll see how the cards fall there. Yeah, I'm just really excited to see Chicagoland back. That was one of my favorite tracks when I was younger. It put on some really great racing, and overall, NASCAR being in Chicago is great, no matter what it is. It's just good to have a race close. I know it's kind of out there, but close to a major city like Chicago.
For me, I'm always looking forward to watching an Atlanta race. I think again Dale Jr. had it best saying he was like the hottest ticket in NASCAR, and ever since that happened, they've put on banger after banger after banger. No matter what. I mean, cars could wreck out. Like you could have a big one. You think that's just it. That's good. There goes the racing. The racing actually turned out, I think, better when they had a shorter pack of cars in the last summer race. So I'm looking forward to that. It always looks good under the lights. Chicagoland, again, another one for me. I've been there. I went there in 2014. I saw Brad Keselowski win. I saw Kyle Larson duke it out, a young Kyle Larson duke it out with Jeff Gordon. And, and I would also add Homestead Miami Speedway. It's the championship, quote unquote, final race, I guess, where you crown a champion. And I've always enjoyed Homestead Miami, the different lanes. I mean, there's some classic, memorable moments there. Obviously, Tony Stewart battling Carl Edwards in 2011 is a all-time favorite for me. And it's just an all-around great track to finish off a season. So those are the tracks I'd probably look forward to the most.
I mean, mine, of course, is going to be Bristol. It's closest to me. I am excited to see what the tire package does this spring because of what we've seen a couple of years ago. And I'm also excited about the Atlanta race. I've done marked it down to in the next couple of years be able to go to that race. I mean, it's one that I've had on the bucket list for a few years now. So that's Atlanta's kind of crawled up there as one of my favorite tracks here in the last few years. So those are my two. And I want to kind of give a shout out here to a guy. He's actually from my hometown, and not just my hometown, but he actually lives out in our community, and it's Austin Walters. He's actually going to get the opportunity to run at Bristol in the truck series here in a couple of weeks if he can find the sponsorship. So any companies that's out there that may be able to help out, he's, I think, a few $1,000s short of being able to make this happen. So anybody out there that can kind of help this guy out, see what he's got. So
Yeah, some good tracks we all mentioned off there. I'm really looking forward to those. Yeah, Zachary, you have one more?
And it's not a track, but I have another question that I want to ask you guys. If you are ever a part of the NASCAR Reddit, I know that's a tricky place. It's almost like Facebook.
I'm
Almost.
banned.
Yeah, I know you're. I
You
know you're
remember
banned.
that? I'm
so-
banned.
yeah, I know you're
Not
banned.
shocked. Not shocked.
I know Aiden's banned, so he didn't see this. So it's a perfect time to answer this question. I had a question earlier. I posted it in there, had a bunch of responses. So I'm interested in seeing what you guys thought. It's about a driver. I hope you are aware of who this driver is. I think you should be. But I asked, what do you make of the career of Sterling Marlin? So I want to go last on this because I already shared my opinion in there. So I want to hear what you guys think. Hopefully you're aware of who Sterling Marlin is.
Interesting to say the least. I was not expecting a quick Sterling Marlin quiz. Awesome race car. I love the look at the Coors Light car. He's an interesting dude. He had I grew up in Tennessee, was always a great racer. He won back-to-back Daytona 500s for a race team that really wasn't all that good. Didn't have a lot of success until he went to Chip Ganassi Racing. And then, obviously, he had a great 2001 season. Many people point at 2002 and be like, that was a fluke year. But he was good in 2002 and 2000. Like, he was not some bum driver. I think there was a really good chance he could have won that 2002 championship. Obviously, Tony Stewart was coming in hot. He was on fire towards the end of the year. Mark Martin was just ever so consistent, chipping away at it. Sterling Marlin getting that injury at Kansas, I truly do think derailed the 2002 championship for him. What would have been the 2002 champion. It would have been interesting because obviously we also know Marlin kind of had a fall off after that year too. He was just never the same driver again. I'm not sure if some of that was just him not really ever being a super phenomenal driver outside of one season or due to injuries. It's really tough to say. He's an anomaly. He's an interesting guy. I wish he did stick around for a little bit longer. Again, I just really love those Coors Light schemes that he ran. But yeah, he's an interesting dude. I think he's definitely an interesting driver to read up on. And yeah, that's really my big takeaway. He was a good driver. I think he would have won the 2002 championship had he not got hurt at Kansas.
Zachary, that's a good question. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't thought about Sterling Marlin in a long time. So when you brought that up, I was like, oh, hopefully it's like, a question I know. And you kept talking about this driver. I'm like, Sterling Marlin, man, I haven't heard that name in a while. But yeah, I can really almost say exactly what Aiden did. I mean, that 2002 year, he's very good. And then he had that injury, and he just kind of just started falling off. But yeah, 2-time Daytona 500 champ, back to back. Always cool when a driver does that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm not too sure what I think about him because it's been a while. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, I obviously grew up watching NASCAR, but for me, whenever I thought Sterling Marlin, this is either gonna be bad or whenever I think Sterling Marlin, I think Dirt to Daytona because my dad would always either race as him or someone else. But that's the reason why. Because for whatever reason, if I played just by myself, that Sterling Marlin car and Dirt to Daytona was always leading the race. But that's really all I could really remember was him winning back to back Daytona 500s and him being really good in 2002 and then falling off really from there.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching Sterling, and he had a okay career. He started out with Morgan McClure.
If you didn't
and the
know,
number 4.
if you didn't know, Michael's really old, unlike us.
Yeah, I'm the old guy. So, I mean, he ran for Morgan McClure for several years. Then he went to Chip Ganassi, 10 wins, over 200 top 10s. He had a decent career, nothing outstanding. You know, you guys have said the majority of it there. He's probably best known for the pulling the fender out at Daytona. That's kind of one of those moments that everybody remembers. And with that, he kind of reminds me of today and age Ross Chastain. Ran for a small team, got an opportunity, goes to a Chip Ganassi, goes to a track house, won a few races, steadily average, nothing flashy, kind of that type of guy, in my opinion. But he was a good personality to have around the garage, and now I believe he's got some health issues and things going on, so that's kind of hard to see. But you don't hear anything from him, really. He pops up from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, again, I posted this in the NASCAR Reddit, and the reason why I posted about him, I might do a couple more too, because I didn't want to do a Jeff Gordon, because everyone knows he's an all-time legend. I didn't want to do Dale Earnhardt. Everyone knows he's an all-time legend. I just didn't want to do a current driver either. I wanted to do somebody that maybe some people overlooked, and I looked at it, and he does have obviously some accomplishments to his name. He's the 1983 Rookie of the Year. Again, two-time Daytona 500 champion. A lot of the comments I got under that was about his paint schemes, the Kodak 4 car, the Silver Bullet 40 Coors Light. I couldn't agree more that those obviously are iconic cars. And then obviously he had like over 200 top 10s. Only 10 career wins. So a lot of the comments I also got were about, well, one of the comments before I answer that is like, one of the comments was about that Dirt to Daytona. Is like, that's how that one guy knew him, is because he kept on winning all the races. I just want to say that Dirt to Daytona was a goated video game. I had it, briefly. I played it. It was awesome. But no, like, Sterling Marlin is
I do want to add one thing. His dad's name's literally Cuckoo Marlin.
yeah,
That's awesome. Instant Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's not in the Hall of Fame, actually. I don't think he's going to get in the Hall of Fame, honestly, because unfortunately he didn't win a championship. But, I said he was a very good, obviously, driver. I think if he was in better equipment, because, again, he didn't really find his home in the 80s, was when he first began racing. And then, obviously, in the 90s, he was driving for Morgan McClure, which wasn't the top equipment. I feel like if he was, like, if he was driving for like a Roush, if he was in Mark Martin's spot or a Terry Labonte, even maybe I think he could have put up Joey Logano numbers, what Logano is doing now, because I feel like he was that good. And no one ever talks about him. And you are right, he is dealing with health issues. I looked it up. He's researched. He had like Parkinson's diagnosis in 2011, so he's been dealing with that. So I just want to say, if he ever sees this, he probably isn't, but my prayers go out to you. Sterling Marlin, you will not be forgotten by many, because many people did like him when he was driving. They saw that he had his thick accent, and a lot of his competitors liked him, and he had obviously a decent amount of fans too. So yeah, I just wanted to take the time to answer that question, because it just was on my mind because I posted about it earlier.
Yeah, thanks for the added question, Zachary. Very good. Was not expecting that, honestly. This is Sterling Marlin question there to end the show. But thank you all for tuning in. If you're watching live, thank you for tuning in live every week. If you're listening afterwards, hey, thanks for keeping up and listening with us. But we also have other shows throughout the week. We'll be getting back into football here shortly, talking about the NFL draft. Can't wait for that. Like I said, MLB opening days tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot more interviews that Bunny's going to set up as well for other sports and local sports. So anything you would like to add, Bunny?
I'm actually going to see if I can reach out to the guy that's going to run at Bristol and see if he'll jump on and join us. I'm trying to get French to reach out to Vic Hill. He was just on Kenny Wallace's show a couple of weeks ago. I think he'd be pretty interesting. We're going to reschedule the show that was supposed to happen today Just had some timing issues with Maddox from Houston. So, yeah, we're lining them up, knocking them out of the park. Hope to possibly get Cody Early on here from Flow Racing so we can talk to him a little bit on Moonshiners and doing some filler stuff for the shows in the fall. So, yeah, appreciate everybody. Good hard work. And, yeah, we'll get back to it.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm your host, Michael Rizzo, joined by Bunny, Zachary, Kendall, and Aiden Fortney. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next